Hey everyone, welcome to the Sonically podcast where music creators educate music creators. I'm Elmo. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of diving into the world of Giacomo Turra, an extraordinary guitarist known for his technical mastery and incredible music. Giacomo stands out in the music scene with his ability to blend complex guitar techniques with expressive musicality that captivate and enchant audiences worldwide. Throughout his career, Giacomo has earned acclaim for his dynamic range from delicate acoustic pieces to powerful electric solos, incorporating elements of jazz, blues, rock, and beyond. In this conversation, we'll explore Giacomo's artistic influences, his approach to songwriting and composition, and the challenges and triumphs he has encountered along his musical path. So without further ado, let's welcome the incredibly skilled and deeply passionate Giacomo Turra to our show. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey guys, great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. We've been very excited to have you on the show, on the podcast. You were brought to our attention through your incredible social media channels. You've kind of blown up through all the activity that you're doing on there. Just such impressive work, and we can just really tell that you have amazing things ahead of you. So yeah, thank you once again. We're honored to have you on.
Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if we could just rewind the clock a little bit to the beginning of your journey. Did you grow up with music in your life?
Definitely, there was no musical instrument in my house growing up, but there was definitely a lot of music because my dad and actually also my grandfather were both like vinyl record collectors. So there was like this part of the house that was just dedicated to like listening to music. We had like a big stereo. My dad was not like a fanatic, but he used to like collect some hi-fi stuff. So we would just use after dinner usually that was my time with him. Basically, we'll just used to like sit on the couch and listening to a lot of like different vinyl records. And growing up, that was our thing together. Like we will listen to a lot of like jazz, fusion, funk, and I didn't even realize how much all that music had an impact on me since I started really digging into this kind of music later on in my life.
What were some of the titles of albums that you were listening to with your dad and your grandpa at that time?
Well, I remember Black Market by Weather Report, and I think there was like a High Times Jamiroquai compilation for like the best singles, and there was Something in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, which is so far one of my favorite records of all time. And then there was like a lot of like jazz, of course, kind of blue, Miles Davis. There was, I think, some probably also some John Coltrane record, and there was like a lot of compilations. Like in Italy, you will find in the 80s and 90s a lot of like basically very strange compilation of songs from artists, like a greatest hits bootleg that people will just use to produce and to collect.
That's incredible. The other follow-up question that I have about that is you had mentioned that the time with your dad and your grandpa, that was the time, the quality time that you were able to spend with him, and it was kind of surrounded by um, the discussions of music. What were some of the things that he told you when you were listening to these records about certain acts like Stevie Wonder and Jamiroquai? Did he kind of go in depth in terms of why this music was so great, or was it more of just sort of like, you know what, Giacomo, this is great music, and I just want you to listen to this?
I don't really think like he had like he never my dad never like told me, "Hey, you should play music," and he doesn't play any instrument, so he doesn't have any like musical theory or musical education. Neither does my mom, but my mom, is a dance teacher, so she also had his own playlist that he used to put during dance lessons. And when I will go with her, I will just, being exposed to all this kind of music and people dancing to this music, like '70s funk and '90s hip hop, a lot of breakbeats. And no, I didn't, honestly, to be honest with you, I don't. My dad never like told me, "Hey, this is great music." It's just that he only had those records that he inherited from his dad, and when he used to buy vinyl records when he was younger. And I think he just wanted to expose me to music in general. I don't think he want me to like learn how to play. Um, it's just the music that he loved listening to, and it's not a really like popular music genre in Italy. I don't really have like a big culture on Italian music, probably compared to my other high school friends growing up. I really have like no clue about what music in Italy was and is. Uh, so in that sense, I was really lucky that my parents and my dad exposed me to music that was from the United States, from the UK, from South America. Oh man, now that I remember, Buena Vista Social Club, such an amazing record. That was another that we used to listen a lot. So I'm just really happy that he exposed me to this kind of music growing up. And then growing grow like during high school, I started to create my own journey to music, and I used to listen to a lot of like I think like a lot of people that start to play guitar around 12, 14 years old, like Guns N' Roses, Nirvana. I think the classic bands that probably every guitar player goes through. And then, like around 18, 20 years old, I will say, I realized how much the music that my dad made me listen to growing up, like jazz and fusion and funk, was the music that I wanted to play eventually. And I went back to that music, you know, strange. Yeah.
Being in Italy where that music wasn't popular and kind of growing up in the system where that there's culture around music, right? Where the music that you listen to wasn't really culturally a part of where you grew up. Did you feel a little bit like kind of alone in that taste, in the taste where you're talking to your friends like, "Hey, man, have you heard of like George Benson and whatever?" Like, and they're like, "Who is that?" Like, did was there that, or were you able to find your group, your crew, or culturally growing up?
Was a little hard. There's definitely like a big jazz scene in Italy. There's not like a really big funk scene. But there's definitely a lot of people that love that music, and I was really lucky to find musicians to play with. Later on, like to be honest with you, I I joined and I created a band with musicians that love this kind of music after like becoming successful on social media and getting known outside of my city as a musician. So definitely before that, I never found anybody to play with that share my same passion for this kind of music in Italy,
Mm,
at least.
wow, that's so interesting. How did you discover the creation side of music? Do you remember the time that you discovered that you could do that?
Yeah, honestly, since the beginning, like I never, I never learned other people's music. That's the funny thing. Like I always played. I didn't go to a music school. I did some lessons with like an acoustic guitar teacher, a really old hippie guy that was living near my city, and I went there with my high school friend who was also starting to play guitar to just get some to figure some stuff out. And then that lasted for a couple of months, and then I just got bored and I went back learning by myself. And I just used to like put YouTube videos and play above them, or just put the record that I listen to all the time and try to catch stuff by ear. But I never like learned like the classic, for example, guitar solos like Hotel California, uh, Guns N' Roses solos. Like I never learned those. I would just like always try to, even on covers, to make my spin, to take my spin on those. And since the beginning, I always loved like composing my own little guitar riffs, my own ideas. Um, so it was strange that eventually, like on social media, I I became known for like playing songs of other people in my style, because I always loved like composing my own music. So it's interesting how then you get yourself known out there eventually.
Yeah, that is very interesting because most people, it's almost as if you jumped right into self-expression with the instrument of your choice, as opposed to going through all of these books of, like these lessons, and going through these levels that the traditional learning path takes you through. And once you start putting yourself out there, was it the people that were leaving comments in your videos when you realized that, hey, I think I'm pretty good at this? Or did that happen before?
No, that's the thing. Like music has always been my main passion. Like I didn't play any sport. My thing was guitar, playing guitar for fun when I went back home after school. But I never considered myself really good. I never played shows. I had my high school band with my friends. We were all self-taught, like playing our own songs or song covers. But honestly, like I was not like a virtuoso, and I don't consider myself a virtuoso even now. The thing that like during the lockdown, I finally had so much time for myself to dedicate to the instrument, and I just wanted to do some creative stuff. Like I always loved like even when I was a kid, I always loved like recording myself doing stuff and then putting the video together on like my computer. I always loved like the creative like graphic and aesthetic aspect too. I used to like during summers to shoot my little movies, homemade movies, and that was so much fun for me. So being at home, stuck in my room, not being able to meet with anyone, that was like my way to just relieve stress and have fun. And I would just create these little arrangements of like even covers, try to rearrange them and playing like a drum beat and then bass and then guitar, then having fun like with my own phone, like putting some books together to just film myself, trying out different lights, different colors, and putting everything together. And then, I was just posting this video for myself and for my friends. And then I started realizing that I was getting actually like creating a community, getting audience. And there was like this particular video, like I Want You Back by Jackson 5. I did like a remix with a loop that went viral. And then I realized like, wow, like for the first time in my life, I'm finally having like an audience, a big audience as a musician. But that was not something that I planned on doing. It was really just for fun. And then, like, if you go back to my first videos, you can really realize how, like, doing one video per week for like all the lockdown and then the years ahead really helped me improve a lot on the instrument. Because it's like a weekly schedule. One thing is like playing guitar for yourself just for fun. You can really be talented and getting really good, or you can just stay basically at the same level because you don't have a project. But like doing these videos and finally having an audience, I was like putting myself in focus, trying to think about a new arrangement, a new idea every week, and that was hard at the beginning. Really, like I will spend so much time researching new songs, trying to come up with an original arrangement, and then trying to learn the arrangement, shooting the video. Now it's pretty easy, but at first was really hard. So that helped me improve a lot.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could describe the feeling when you realized that this community was building around these videos that you were putting out. Because, you had said earlier that you didn't really know how good you were. And then when you started to do that, it was like, oh my gosh, like some kind of an aha moment um, happened. What were you feeling at the time as it was happening?
I think it was really like about bringing something different to the table. Like there were a lot of like very skilled guitar players, but the way that I always try to think about music is really like sharing the joy of playing and sharing the fun of playing. And I think like looking at the comments at first and even now, that it even talking to people after the shows, that is what really people relate to it. Like a guy in his own room like having lots of fun and sharing good vibes in a moment that was very difficult for everyone in the world. Um, and then people, of course, like were really impressed by, I guess, my approach of like just being creative with very famous songs like Daft Punk and Michael Jackson and all these like big funk classics, if you want. Um, the way that I always like try to think about playing on guitar is not really like doing it for me, but doing it for the other people. So really, like I want to make people have fun listening to it. So, I cannot play fast. Like that's not my thing. Like I'm not a shredder. I really like, for me, like being effective and original and interesting in the short amount of time as possible. Like I get bored like playing for 5 minutes, like a guitar solo, or like even listening to a guitar solo. Like that's not my thing. Like at the same time, like I just want to be effective and be I want to people have fun listening to my music. So that was really like my goal, even with those videos at the beginning.
That's so cool. I think your I mean, we live in in this day and age where everything is instant, everything is short. Even with social media, it's very quick and satisfying. And I think that's what, when I hear your riffs and your runs, it is so interesting. But you kind of you get with those short videos just enough that you're like, man, I want to see another one. I want to see another one. I want to hear it again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's so cool. Um, who are some of the guitarists now that you feel are great?
You mean now that are like modern guitarists, or now for my like musical path?
I just feel like maybe the ones that you were influenced by over the years, whether they're from the
Yeah.
past or even the ones that are still playing now, like who do you feel has crossed the line from goodness to greatness?
Like when I started playing, I was mainly influenced by blues players. Like the blues guitar was the first sound that really made me interested in guitar. Like I always listening to music, but like Muddy Waters, like Electric. How was the record? I don't even remember them. Hard Again, but Muddy Waters, like, and I will say Led Zeppelin 2 was like the main two albums that really like made me, wow, what is that sound? I wanna be able to do that. Like um, blues guitar at first, and then I started discovering like Prince and his way of building up a groove, and George Benson, man. Like George Benson for me is the perfect example of someone that is was able to like put jazz vocabulary at the service of like a pop mainstream top of the charts song, and that seems easy, but it's very difficult to do. To make jazz digestible to like a mainstream audience. Really, George Benson is incredible for that. And then of course, like these are pretty very old players, but like Jones Coffey, Larry Carlton for me are top of the notch even today.
So all of those guitarists have something very specific that makes them great. That was because there's a lot of good guitar players out there, right? Like, oh, that guy has skills. That guy, has good rhythm. That guy does a good guitar solo. Do you ever think about that for yourself, like in terms of your legacy? Like, I know it might be early because you're kind of just, you're kind of on the path of discovering your musical journey and kind of trying to like figuring out where it's all going to lead to. But do you ever think about that, like 10, 20 years down the line? Like, what is that thing that is going to make me great?
I just hope it's gonna be like because all my influences and the music that I play is really like looking at the past. Um, so I really think like, especially like seeing what guitar playing has become today, and the modern references for guitar playing, which to me most of the time it's so incredible. Like it's so technical and skilled, but it's so over the top. Um, it comes a point where it feels like it's made for the guitar player, not for the audience. So I just really hope that my playing will just show people, how many of and one of many other examples of that. That you can be effective with less. Like being funky, being catchy, but really being effective, being quick, just like really like showing that having fun on the instrument is what people at the end of the day remember, because they will remember like how you made them feel. And that's what I'm really aiming for with my videos and with my when I perform during concerts, really. Because I'm not like a technical player. Like, again, I cannot play fast. That's not my thing. I really base everything on groove, on timing, and on rhythm. Like, I can play. I don't really care about the notes that I'm playing, but where to place them most of the time. Which I think like it's a lot of it gets many people forget about that when it comes to guitar playing. Like, they only care about the hand that is standing on the fretboard and not on the other hand. But to me, like, really, like when I'm practicing guitar, I'm not even using that hand. That hand is just muting the strings. I will just practice with a metronome and trying like finding a way to be funky with my right hand.
Gotcha. Speaking of making people feel something, you have a new single out called "The Way She Wants," and the way that it makes me feel and the way that it's described is it's a dreamy track in the genre of jazz and blues and with modern twists. And it was inspired by your experience on tour driving from San Francisco to LA. What was it about that car ride that sparked the early 80s smooth jazz song, reminiscent of sort of like this George Benson jam?
Yeah, basically, this track to me, it's a weird thing because there are many times where you grow up on certain like movies, certain books, certain music that you have a kind of sense of like nostalgia for a place and a time that you haven't even like lived. Don't know if it ever happened to you, but like to me, all those like late 80s movies, like American movies and music from like George Benson, like the Give Me the Night record. Like in my mind, growing up, I always had this picture of like California with the palm trees and the sunset and the cool cars and like the big boulevards with the palm trees. Um, I like think about that, listening to that music. I felt like a sense of like warmth, a sense of like nostalgia, even if like I didn't live through that time. It's a strange thing. So finally being able to be there and play that for the first time, like I was really overwhelmed with that feeling. It was incredible. And I had this like chord progression in my mind that it came from a loop video that I did with a really cool bass line. I didn't have like a melody yet. I tried noodling a little bit on guitar, but it was still an unclear idea. I know that people really like that video, and I want to be able to put out that song. And then I just, thought about that music, thought about George Benson, and I started working on that guitar riff that became like the main riff of the song. So that was kind of like the closure of that song. So I really showed the band how to play the basic structure of the song, and we just started like playing that song night after night while playing in California. And every concert we will add a different section, um, and then yeah, the song was basically made that way.
I wanted to ask you about the title, "The Way She Wants." Who is she?
Oh well, she can be really like, again, the thing with when I compose music, well, actually, here we gotta give credit to Nick Hanson, who wrote the lyrics for this track, and we worked together on the vocal melody and everything. He's the singer on the track, but basically, the idea when it comes to music for me, I don't really need to like tell a big life experience that I lived. I don't really need to like send a big message. Can Doesn't need to be political. It doesn't need to be social. Really, for me, playing music for people and recording music for people is really about being able to share an experience and being able to make people feel what I'm feeling in that moment with that music, playing that music. Um, so most of the time is like being able, like if I'm able to make people hear the fun and the joy that I had recording and play that song, for me, like the work is done, the job is done. So for this kind of vibe, for this kind of song, I think like that, like a love song, a song that talks about um, a girl, was like the perfect fit. And Nick did an amazing job with the vocal melody and the lyrics, talking about like his life experiences with girls. And um, he's just an amazing singer for me,
Mhm.
really.
If we could we transition to hearing some guitar playing from you?
Of course, yeah, let's do
Awesome.
it.
So, one of the things, as we talked about, that you're most well known for are your killer guitar solos. Can you help us understand how you're able to showcase such impeccable technical skill with emotional expression by maybe breaking down one of your guitar solos? Like, is it all happening in the moment, or is there some things that you go back to maybe when you're stuck in terms of improvisation? Um, like, what goes through your
Hmm.
mind as you're kind of navigating through a solo?
Well, the thing for me is that, like, being self-taught, like having no music theory, my approach on guitar is always like trying to follow my ear and trying to find a way through the notes, because I don't really like think about scales. Like, I cannot visualize scales when I play. Like, the only scale I ever learned was like the blues scale. That's the only scale that I know. So when it comes to improvising and to writing stuff, I think that blues really helped me a lot about trying to sing the melody in my head. And many people told me, like, after my shows, that a cool thing that they saw during my shows is that they can see that I'm not like a musically trained musician, and that in my solos I will just basically try to use my ear, to understand where my musicality and my basically my cultural, like, um, how can you say it, like basically my musical bag, what I was what I was what I was listening to growing up led me into. So like, I don't really think I cannot visualize scale on guitar, so I would just go. For me, like, it's really important, not really like about the notes, but where you will put the notes inside a groove. Like, to me, you can just really like be way more effective playing less in the right spot, um, that like playing 1,000 notes. You know, it's also very important. Well, would you make like the interesting choices? For example, how to create tension. Especially in like jazz and fusion, we talk a lot about creating tension with guitar, with the instrument in general. And I think it's really important to not give that too quickly. Not give that to people too quickly, but really like try to use that in the right spot, like creating a crescendo, and putting like the tension at the end before resolving that. Really, also in my videos, I always try to do that because I think it's very effective when you listen to it. That's really like all I'm looking for. But I really like, most of the time, when I'm just grabbing a guitar. Like, my favorite thing to do was just like put a metronome or put like a drum beat and just go. I will never like even just use the pick. I just have so much fun. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. It just gives me like satisfaction doing it. I don't really like practice scales or anything like
Just
that.
kind of
You know?
noodle around, and just find stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and just really like care about rhythm and groove and timing. That's really like the only thing that I'm constantly practicing, even before a show. I told you I will just do like, it doesn't really matter what you're playing here, but like how you're expressing that part of the instrument.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I notice about your playing too is your rhythm is impeccable, and you you have a place in the pocket because you play a certain genre, like these funk genres, and
Yeah,
this pocket that you sit in. Um, the reaction that it gives to the feeling that it gives to the listener is like you want to nod your head, you want to kind of break your neck a little bit, like in groove to the music. um how do you consistently stay in that pocket all the time? Is it just with the metronome you're able to just, that's the place that you like because of the background and
yeah,
stuff? Is that it?
yeah, definitely. Like everyone has its own approach when it comes to like playing on a metronome or a groove or a drum beat. Like for me, the sweet spot is like just staying on the beat, like exactly. A lot of people like tend to like lay down. You will never hear me like playing like that. Like I'm always like always like for me, that's the only thing that I'm always practicing at home, and I'm even before a show is like I will just put like a 100 or 120 BPM, and just like trying to stay as much close to the beat as
Mm.
possible. But that's what I like, and that's probably like how my sound has become over the years. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. A lot of people love to stay laid back, and I listen to a lot of music, like D'Angelo, or The Roots,
Oh yeah.
But for this genre, like to me, like just give me satisfaction playing exactly as close to the beat as possible.
Hmm. So cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think um, for people, for the next generation of music creators, the next generation of guitarists, I think every road is unique, and just to hear this story is really awesome. I'm wondering if we might be able to play a little game called the Riff game.
Mm-hmm.
If I
All right.
say a name of a song and the artist, would you be able to play that riff? You get
Uh,
all of these
that's
correct,
interesting.
you win a prize.
So just have to play the riff.
Yeah. So
All right.
Michael Jackson, Rock With You.
All right. I know that one. I'm pretty sure I know that one. I think it's in E flat. Yeah.
Nice. White Stripe, Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, that was probably one of the first song that I learned. I know, like the crazy thing about that song, because I was a big White Stripe fan, is that he used to play that song live on this like very crappy, whole beaten up. I felt like it was an harmony or Silvertone like guitar, and I think he used to wait to tune it all the way down to like, I think it was like open A or something like that, but like really really low, that it almost sounds like a bass. So I always played it like in E, but I think it like the original might be even lower. I don't remember like it could be like in probably even in B.
Yeah, I think
But yeah,
that's
anyway,
yeah, I think it is that low. It is quite a lot lower, but
yeah, in Italy it's very famous also for like for
oh
soccer.
really? That's awesome.
Yeah, like became like a very famous like football chant.
Okay. Lucky, the Nile Rodgers rhythm part.
Oh yeah, Nile Rodgers. Like Nile is definitely one of the other that really like influenced the way that I think about like rhythm guitar, like all this. But yeah, I think it was in B.
Next one,
All
Michael
right.
Jackson, Beat It.
Oh yeah. No, that's the thing. Like now, Beat It. I have a problem with this song in my head. I always like mix it up with this. But Beat It is actually different. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
For a moment, I couldn't remember it.
That's awesome. Okay, I don't know if you're a big Queen fan. This is the last but not least. Were you a big
All
Queen
right.
person?
Honestly, no.
Really?
Like I love rock. I love classic
Yeah.
rock, but Queen, I love Queen. Like as just to really like listen to. It's not like in my playlist. Like of course I know Queen. I love Brian May, but again, like I think like all those big classic rock songs, I never like learned any of that. Like the Hotel California solo, I did a cover
Mm.
of that, but I just tried to make my own solo on it, and a lot of people like were criticizing me too because that's one of like the solos that you cannot touch, you know. But to me, like it's not fun to just play like a solo,
Yeah.
that people covered a million times, like John Mayer, uh, Queen. Again, like there are so many like Brian May guitar solo covers on the internet that I don't think it will bring anything different to just play another one.
I guess that leads me to my next question. What advice would you give to aspiring guitarists who are trying to carve out a niche in today's musical landscape?
Definitely, like a lot of people ask me like, "Hey man, like I just started playing guitar and trying to find my way, trying to find my way on guitar and trying to find my way on composing new stuff, on arranging solos and all of that." And to me, it's something that you cannot really choose. Like, I think that like the music that you grew up listening to and the music that you're exposed to is just what your ears and your hands are gonna lead you to. So I don't think you can avoid that eventually. Like you just have to embrace that. And like for me, like I knew that I could not play fast, and I knew that probably like if I had spent like 1,000 hours like practicing scales and trying to be really fast, I would probably be able to go really fast. But that's not the music that I'm listening to. That's not where my ear is going. So I think that for everyone, it's really important to try to visualize why do you have fun playing. Like for me, again, this is what I have fun playing. Like this is my thing. Um, and it took me a while to understand that um, and it took me a while to understand that people uh, like that thing about me you know but I think like at the end of the day you can try so many ways to be a musician and a guitar player. And there were so many people that will tell you, hey, no, this is not good, this is not what we're looking for. But at the end of the day, like to me it really worked, like being myself and just show to people what I have fun playing, um, without any compromise. Like I could not be like a session player for like big artists if I don't like the music. Like I'm not one of those people that can just go on and pick any music genre and just play it. You know, for me it's really important. Like so, this is what I tell to guitar players that ask me that. I reply with a question. What do you have fun playing? What is that brings you joy playing? Like explore that. Really try to understand why you have fun playing that thing, and how can you be unique in that? How can you find your own way to bring something new with that?
I love that. Thank you so much for that. I think that advice will go a long way for so many people, not even just guitar players, aspiring guitar players, but just aspiring creators in general. Because with creativity, it's really about expressing who you are, and
Yeah,
whether you're impacting one person or a million people, um, that's all that really matters, because we're all going through it. We're all trying to find our way to tomorrow, right? And I think
yeah,
if there's something that can inspire anybody, just to make their today better for tomorrow, then that's amazing. And I think that's what you're doing. And hats off to you. One really cool thing that I saw on your Instagram is Jamie Foxx follows you.
yeah, yeah, man, it's
Do you
incredible. Also,
remember
Jack
that day
Black.
he did that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, man. Like I watched like so many of his movies. He's such an incredible singer and musician too. Like the Ray Charles movies, one of my favorites, and he's such an incredible and versatile singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really blessed that he follows me. Like so many, like Jack Black follows me too. Such another
So
like
cool.
fun like actor, but such an incredible singer too.
Yeah.
Uh, he's incredible. Yeah.
Did they ever send you DM or anything, or did you ever have any conversation with them at all?
Yeah, sometimes like they will just probably reply or comment under a post. I was in touch for a while with Tenacious D guitar player, uh, and I'm not sure we will have a chance to finally meet. They were in Milan. He invited me to their show in Milan, but I was in the United States.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, so there was bad timing, but there will definitely be a time that we'll be able to hopefully like meet. I would love to meet
that's
him
so cool.
and
Yeah,
Jack
but
too.
Jack
Yeah,
Black and yeah, Tenacious D. That's high praise, man, because they're really
yeah,
good
man.
musicians. Um, can we transition to the rapid fire? This is the last section of
All
the
right.
interview. It's just some questions that we ask every creator, and based off of their sort of background, every answer is very unique. So we just like to sort of highlight the uniqueness of every creator through these questions. Um, so rapid fire round number one: what DAW do you use and why?
I use Logic. For me, that's just the easiest and most intuitive when it comes to producing. I tried Ableton, but it's just not intuitive for me, like for my workflow.
Favorite gear or plugins?
My favorite gear so far is probably my envelope filter because it's for me it's like the perfect funk guitar sound. And about plugging, like again, I'm a big fan of like DI, basically like guitar, like straight into the sound interface. I love the Neural DSP and plugins they're doing. They're incredible, super funky. The Core in one is one of my favorites, I would say.
What is a sound that always brings you joy?
Again, the envelope filter, man, like that is just so funky. I will put it on all my guitar tracks.
How would you rank your music creator skill sets out of 10 for the following?
All right.
Beat making,
Beat making, I would say five,
lyric writing,
two,
sound design,
7.
mixing.
I will say like for social media, I will give myself like a 9. Like people are very impressed how I'm able to like make like the bass to make people hear the bass through like phones. I just developed an ear to like mixing music for like the phone. That's the fun thing.
Yeah, how do you get the bass out for that? Because I find it very hard to, uh, especially with 808s, because usually it doesn't kind of
Yeah,
show up in the mix. So yeah.
yeah. For me, like it's really like cutting a lot of like low mid frequencies. Like I would say, like around 3 and 4 hundred hertz. Um, and just creating like a nice little scoop there, and I will just cut out even like the sub bass, very low frequencies. Just give it a boost around, I would say like 200 hertz, and really like compression.
Mm.
Really,
Next skill set: music theory.
too.
Last one: Arranging.
Now, arranging, I think I'm pretty good at that. I will say 8.
What is your reaction or facial expression when you know you made some heat?
This phase?
That's the Italian stank face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. When do you feel 100% happy with a song you made?
When I don't listen to it anymore.
If AI technology was somehow able to take over our jobs as music creators, what new career path would you choose?
I would have fun like managing some AI artists like the AI Prince or AI Michael Jackson, like creating content for that, like social media manager for that, for the new AI Michael Jackson. You know that, like Drake just released dissing with like the fake Tupac.
Yeah.
Like people are joking about it, but I'm sure, like, of course, I'm not the first one to say that, but more and more artists and labels eventually will start releasing music with like the AI Drake, AI Arctic Monkeys, AI Michael Jackson. I'm sure about it. So it'll be fun to manage like the social media, like creating content for like the AI Prince or Michael Jackson. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah, I think uh, that was a pretty interesting moment when recently Drake and Kendrick Lamar released diss tracks about each other. And then the first thing that people said on the forums is like, is this really him? Is this the
Yeah,
real Drake? Is this the real Kendrick? Is this not AI? And then it had to go
yeah.
through their own people to confirm that this is the real one.
No, yeah,
It's insane right now. Yeah.
it's gonna be worse and worse, I'm sure.
So maybe I'll manage the Giacomo Turra's AI.
All right, exactly. Maybe it's
um,
already AI.
maybe yeah. Are you even real? Like who am I talking to right now? Marco, who's this guy? Just kidding. Um, okay, what is next for Giacomo Turra? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we have some upcoming shows in the summer, some very cool festivals in Europe. We're playing in Hungary, we're playing in Poland, and then we're flying again to the United States. We have some really cool festivals and some big other things coming there too, that I will be able to announce very, very soon. Um, yeah, it's going to be a really exciting second half of the year, really.
That's awesome. And you currently have a song out, The Way She Wants, and there's different versions of the song that are being released as well, too, right?
Yeah, because when I released like the first song that I put out as Giacomo Turra was "Get Into the Groove," and there were so many people asking for the instrumental version. So for this one, like I wanted to give something for everybody. Like we did the English version, we did the Portuguese version um, for my South American audience, because Nick Hansen is also an amazing singer that knows so many like languages. He can sing in so many different languages. And we did also the instrumental live studio session recorded in Nashville earlier this year, and I also released like the loop version, which was basically like the rough demo idea, like the first video of the song, so that people can also hear like how the song has developed from the first initial scratch.
So cool. Well, we definitely love that you're able to cater to all these different um, tastes and different things that people want to hear from you. And we are just so thankful that you took the time out to spend this hour with us just to talk about your your life and music and showing us a little bit of your skills on the guitar. And then yeah, it was just a really wonderful time for us. And I think what you shared really for that next generation of music creator who's kind of looking for their way, like maybe they're in their mom's basement just fooling around with the DAW, and they really really gravitate towards it, but they're not really sure what their next step is going to be. I think just by you sharing your story, it gives them a little bit of a an idea of what could happen if they just don't give up and they continue to search within themselves to share what they have. Uh, to the world. So we thank you very much for that, Giacomo, and we wish you
Thank you very much.
success and blessings in the future. We're rooting for you always, and yeah, we just want to thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank you.
great.